Erev Shabbat Shalom Rabotai. We are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Gittin. We are up to Perek Ted Mishnah Daled. Today's Mishnayot should be Le'ilun Nishmat Neria ben Svetlana Ranbai Eliyahu ben Burchai Israel Ovchana ben Miriam Sason ben Ryan Yoshua ben Shifra Menuchatam beGan Eden Amen. And Leavdil ben Chaim leChaim v'Refuah Shelema Daniel Shalom ben Rosa betoch Shah Cholei Israel. The Mishnah teaches a leniency in regard to certain Gittin that are rabbinically not valid. Shelosha Gittin Psulin. There are 3 Gittin that the rabbis ruled are invalid, and if a husband divorces his wife with one of them, she may not get married. Vimni said Vlad Kasher, but if she went ahead and married someone on the basis of such a get and had a child from him, the child is fit to marry an ordinary Jew and is not considered a mamzer. Even if she did not have a child from him, once she remarried, she may stay married to her second husband. In the case of other rabbinically invalid Gittin, if she remarries, she may not stay with her second husband, and her child from him is a mamzer, as we discussed in chapter 8, Mishnah 5. The 3 Gittin are Katav B'chtav Yado Ven Alav Edim. Number 1, a get that the husband wrote in his own handwriting, but there are no witnesses signed on it. The witnesses who signed a get are testifying that the husband wants this to be a get. So if a get is written by the husband in his own handwriting, it is as if there are 100 witnesses on it testifying that he wants this to be a get. It is therefore a valid legal document, even without witnesses signing it. However, the rabbis were concerned that if they allowed such a get to be used, people might think that even a get written by a scribe can be used without witnesses when it is in fact biblically invalid. Therefore, they required even a get written by the husband to have witnesses signed on it. Yesh alav edim, then bozman 2, a get that has witnesses signed on it, but at no date written in it. Yesh bozman ven bo eledecha 3, a get that has the date written in it, and it was written in the husband's own handwriting, but it has only one witness signed on it. The first case of the Mishnah also concerned a get that the husband wrote himself. In that case, the Mishnah taught that even though it has no witnesses at all, her child from the second husband is not a mamzer. In this case, the Mishnah teaches that even if the husband wrote the get and has one witness, it is still invalid in the first place, and she may not remarry. These 3 Gittin are invalid. Vimni said Vlad Kasher. But if after receiving one of them she married someone anyway and had a child, the child is fit to marry any Jew. Since these Gittin are biblically valid, the rabbis were lenient in these 3 cases and allowed them to stand once the woman married and had a child. The reason they were more lenient in these 3 cases is that the concerns about time and signatures are not specific to Gittin but apply to all legal documents. Since in those cases such documents are valid even if they lack a date or signatures when they are written in the handwriting of the person giving the document, the rabbis did not want to completely disqualify them in the case of Gittin. Now, the Mishnah stated that if a get was written by the husband and not signed by witnesses, it is rabbinically not valid. This implies that if it was written by someone besides the husband and it was not signed by witnesses, it is invalid even under biblical law, even if there are witnesses who see it being given to her. The Mishnah now cites a Tana who disagrees. Rabbi Elazar says, even if no witnesses are signed on the get, but the husband gave it to her in front of witnesses, kasher, it is valid, because it is the witnesses who see the get being given who make it into a legal document. A get needs witnesses in order to be valid. Rabbi Elazar holds that edem misira karti, the witnesses who see the get being given, are the ones who make it into a document of separation, meaning they're the ones who make it a valid get. Witnesses who sign the get play no role in making it a valid get. The previous Tana, however, follows the opinion of Rabbi Meir, who holds that Ede Chatima Karti, the witnesses who sign the get are the ones who make it into a document of separation. Therefore, if the get is not signed by witnesses, it is invalid. Nevertheless, both Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Meir agree that a get written in the husband's handwriting without witnesses is considered a document of separation, and it is biblically valid. According to Rabbi Meir, the reason is that his handwriting is like the testimony signatures of 100 witnesses. According to Rabbi Elazar, the reason is it is valid even without witnesses who saw it being given, is that the Torah says, V'chatav v'natan, and he shall write for her a document of separation and place it in her hand. This implies that the husband can make his get a valid document by writing it himself. Although the rabbis, in Rabbi Elazar's opinion, although the rabbis did say that ideally witnesses should sign it, like Rabbi Elazar will explain, she may get married based on a get that is not signed as long as he gave it to her in the presence of witnesses. And the same is true for someone who lends money. The lender can collect the debt from sold property, meaning from property the borrower sold to others after he borrowed the money, even if there are no witnesses signed on the loan document, but the document was handed over by the borrower to the lender in front of witnesses. When someone borrows money, a lien takes effect on all the real estate, land, and houses he has at the time, allowing the lender to collect them even if they were sold to someone else afterward. However, he may do so only where a valid loan document was written. Rabbi Elazar teaches that even if there were no witnesses signed the document, but it was given to the lender in front of witnesses, it is considered a valid legal document, and the lender may use it to collect his debt from sold property. This is because the rabbis required witnesses to sign a get only for the benefit of the public, so that if the witnesses who see the husband give the get die or go to a different country, we may rely on the witnesses who signed the get to assume that the get was also given properly. We assume the husband gave it to his wife in front of witnesses, making it a valid get. Witnesses sign a loan document for the same reason. However, it is really the witnesses who see the document being given who make it a valid legal document. Therefore, even if there are no witnesses signing the document, it is valid as long as there are witnesses who can say that they saw it being given. In summary, A, if a get was not written by the husband and was not signed by two witnesses, the first Tana holds it is biblically invalid, while Rabbi Elazar holds it is valid as long as two witnesses saw him give it. B, if it was written by the husband but not signed by two witnesses, the first Tana holds it is rabbinically invalid, while Rabbi Elazar holds it is valid as long as two witnesses saw him give it. And the Rav does tell us, Rabbi Elazar, the Halakha does follow the opinion of Rabbi Elazar. That is the end of Mishnah Daled. Mishnah Hey begins by discussing the case of identical Gittin that got mixed up. Shnayim shesharchu shnei Gittin shavin. If two men with the same name each wrote a get and they sent the same agent to give the two identical Gittin to their wives, who also had the same names, v'nitarvu, but before he gave the Gittin they got mixed up and he cannot tell which get was intended for which wife, noten shneim lazu shneim lazo, he should give both Gittin to this woman and both Gittin to that woman, so that we are sure each one receives the right get. Because we know a woman can be divorced only by a get that was written specifically for her, like we learned in chapter 3, Mishnah 1. Lefika chavad echad man, therefore if one of the Gittin got lost, harei hashani batel, the second get is useless, because neither woman can get married again unless she receives both Gittin. The get that remains, however, is still a valid get. If he gives it to one of the women, she is in a state of doubt. She may not get remarried because it might be the wrong get, but she also may never afterward marry a Kohen even if both husbands die, because it might have been the right get, making her a divorcee. A law about several Gittin written on the same piece of paper. Chamisha shekatvu klal betoch a get. If 5 men decided to write 5 Gittin on a single piece of paper and they wrote the date as a general heading in the get, ish ploni megaresh plonit, and then they wrote the details of each get, so-and-so divorces so-and-so, etc., uploni plonit, and so-and-so divorces so-and-so, and so on. After writing the date on top, they wrote the entire Torah, the essential part of each get, one under the other. They wrote separately for each couple their names in the statement, you are hereby permitted to any man. Va'edim milmata, and the witnesses signed their names in the bottom of the paper. Kulan kisherin v'inaten lechol achat v'achat. All the Gittin are valid, and the paper should be given to each woman by her husband. Because the date is written only once, it is clear that these Gittin were written as one long document. Therefore, when the witnesses signed it, they were testifying about all of the Gittin, and they are all valid. Even though they signed their names only once, the signatures apply to each get. However, if for a separate text, including the date, was written for each one, for instance, on Sunday the 1st of Nisan, so-and-so divorces so-and-so, on Sunday the 1st of Nisan, so-and-so divorces so-and-so, etc., Va'edim milmata, and the witnesses signed their names on the bottom of the paper, Ed sha'edim nikrini mo kasher, then only the get with which the signatures of the witnesses are read, the last get, which is right above the signatures, is valid. Because the date is written separately for each one, it is clear that each get is a separate document. Therefore, the witnesses might have meant to testify only about the last get, the one under which they signed their names, but not the others. Because we do not know, the 4 other Gittin cannot be used. Now, this follows the view of the first Tana of the previous Mishnah, Rabbi Meir, who holds that it is the witnesses who signed the get who make it valid. However, according to Rabbi Elazar in that Mishnah, if each husband gave the get to his wife in front of witnesses, each would be divorced. And that is on the Botai of today's Mishna Yomi. Everybody should have an Erev Shabbat Shalom. Baruch Adonai La'olam. Amen v'amen.